Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai. Call log Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakadash. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor and glory and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with 100% sincerity. To the men, women, and children listening and learning, to the house of the Bayasha Double Dot, the house of David, of the hopeful elect 144,000 men. This is Ayash Yatad from Men of Valor Las Vegas camp. Alright, I'm going to come to you today with a video. I don't necessarily know what I'm going to call it right now, but through the Spirit, something will come up. Alright, but we're going to go into a video that I seen of a couple of videos from the brothers of GMS, and the water for the particular brothers that I got the clips from on these videos to bring it out. Alright, Lord willing, this is edifying. Okay, first and foremost, let's just go ahead and get into the book of Genesis. It's going to be chapter 17, and it's going to start at verse 2, and it reads, "And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations." Continuing on, verse 5, "Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee, and I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee." Verse 7, "And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, and their generations, for a everlasting covenant, to be a God," as we know that word God means power, "unto thee, and to the seed after thee." Alright, so this is Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai talking to Abram, which his name was changed to Abraham in this verse because he was the father of many nations. Okay, so the 12 tribes who came out of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, are our forefathers, right? So just going in to right quick, let's look at who those 12 tribes are just for edification's sake. Alright, Slovakia, give me for the phone twisting and everything. And this is going to be the book of Exodus, chapter 1, and verse 1. "Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came unto Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher." Alright. "And all these souls that come out of the loins of Jacob were 7 souls, Salakia, 70 souls, and Joshua was in Egypt already." Alright, so those are the children of Israel. Alright, so once again, our forefathers are who? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Alright, but right now we're talking about Isaac. Okay? And let's go ahead and skip to verse 19. Verse 19. So once again, this will be Genesis chapter 17 and verse 19. And power said, and God said, Salaka, let me read up. Start at verse 18. Genesis chapter 17, verse 18. And Abraham said unto God, the power, oh, that Ishmael might leave before thee. And God, the power, said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call him, shall call his name Isaac. All right, because Abraham went on behalf of his wife. All right, Sarah went on behalf of her because she couldn't conceive, but Yahweh Bashem Yahushai had promised her a son, and their son's name would be Isaac. Once again, who's our forefathers? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, so first was his father Abraham, next was Isaac. Isaac is the son, and who is that through reincarnation, through the spirit? That's Yahweh Shai. All right, and you can go on and Lord willing, I'll do a video on that one as well. And I will establish, reading on, and I will establish my covenant with him for a everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. All right, so with his seed after him. Okay, so we're going to jump over to Genesis chapter 21. And verse, let's start at chapter 21. Let's start at verse 1. And it reads, And Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived, and bare Abraham's a son in his old age at the set time, of which the power, that word God right there means power, had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. Right? Because if you read earlier in the account, which we were just in, earlier in the chapter, and chapter 17, verses that 17 really verses 14 on down, you'll see the account of Sarah being promised that child once again, and her name being changed. All right, this is the account where Isaac was born. So who was our forefather? Abraham, Isaac. Those are our two forefathers. So Abraham begot Isaac, right? And that's where we are now. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into Genesis. And we're going to go to chapter 25. And we're going to start at verse 19. And it reads, And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. And Abraham begot Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel and Cyrene of Padan Arma. Slack if I pronounce that wrong. The sister of Laban of Cyrene. And Isaac entreated Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai for his wife, because she was barren. Salakia. And Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children struggled together with her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So she wanted to know why what was happening with her pregnancy. All right, she felt something and it wasn't right, and wanted to know what was going on. All right, in her womb. Continuing on to read, once again, this is Genesis chapter 25, and we're in verse 23, and it reads, And Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manners of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. All right, and we'll find exactly out who's the elder and the younger in this case. All right, but 2 nations. All right, so there was 2 nations from one seed. Where'd that seed come from? That seed came from who? First, Abraham begot Isaac, right? And then Isaac begot who? There's 2 nations, all right? So the 2 nations, Esau, Edom, and Jacob. All right? And let's continue on to read. Genesis chapter 25, verse 24. And it reads, And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. All right? There were twins in her womb. Let me continue on to read. And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. All right? So who comes out red like a hairy garment now? Edomites. Edomite children come out red like a hairy garment. All right? Continuing on. And after that came his brother out of his came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. Well, symbolically, what is that? If we go into the Apocrypha, all right, Salakia, let's go ahead and get that verse. Salakia. All right, it'll go into. Let me read that again. This will be, once again, Genesis chapter 25, and we're on verse 25. And it reads, And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was three scores years old when she bare them. Okay, so let's go to Apocrypha right quick, and let's see the symbolization of what that means. All right, so this will be a second Esdras. It'll be chapter 6, and let's start at verse 7, and it reads, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? Verse 8, And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born. All right? Of him, Jacob held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that followeth. Okay? So Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that followeth, which that's what we're in right now. Okay? And once again, That was 2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verses 7 through 9. All right. Salakia. Go. Salakia. Let's go jump down to chapter X. Salakia. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Let's jump down to Genesis. And it's going to be chapter 26, verses 1 through 5. And it reads, "And there was a famine in the land, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham and Isaac, went unto Abraham's king of the Philistines, unto Gerar." Salakia, I got that wrong. Salakia, give me 1 second. Salakia, let me go ahead and keep on reading. So once again, this is Genesis chapter 26, and we're on verse 2. And it reads, "And Yahweh appeared," Salakia, and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai appeared unto him, and said, Go not down unto the Egyptians, dwelling in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swore unto Abraham thy father, and I will make thee seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice, and kept my charge, and my commandments, my statutes, and my laws." All right? So, who was out of the seed of Abraham, Isaac? It was Jacob. It was Esau and Jacob. All right? Esau being the firstborn, Jacob being the secondborn. All right? So we know that Isaac has, that covenant is being fulfilled, or has been fulfilled, because is not Jacob and Isaac, Salakia, is not Esau and Jacob Isaac's son? All right? All right, so that is proof right there that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai had made many nations, all right, out of the loins of Abraham and out of the loins of Isaac. All right, so many nations have came from Abraham and Isaac. There's no disputing that. Okay, and that's thus saith the Bible. And if I'm interpreting it wrong, please, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, send me a rebuke, that I may get it right and correct myself through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakadash. All right. But those are the many nations that came out of Abraham and Isaac, right there. But they're still a chosen seed for the covenant. All right. So let's go to Genesis. Slakia. Genesis, chapter 27. And we're going to jump down to verse 20. I'm going to jump down to verse, it's lucky I lost a chapter. Okay, chapter 27, and we're going to jump down to verse 28. And it reads, therefore, let's start at 27. Genesis chapter 27, verse 27. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his remnant, and blessed him, and said, See the same of my son, Slakia, see the smell of my son is as the smell of the field, which Yahweh hath blessed. Alright? So, who is he talking about at this point in time? Alright? Because what happened is when Isaac was stricken in his old age, he was stricken, he couldn't see. His eyes were dim because he was about to give up the ghost, right? So, just roughly paraphrasing the scriptures and going over the story, Isaac sent Esau out into the field to fetch him some venison and asked him to make the venison that he liked so much, right? But his wife Rebecca heard that and called in Jacob and said, "Go in there and I'll fix your father some meat that he likes, for he's going to give your brother the blessing. But it is for you to go in there and to get that blessing." All right? And so he supplanted the mother, Rebecca, and Jacob supplanted Isaac. All right? But this was all spoken of in Bible prophecy. All right? One nation shall serve the other. The elder shall serve the younger. All right? And if you go into exactly why that is, read the story, read in Genesis, and you'll find it exactly. All right? But I know I'm kind of long in this video, but through the Spirit, these are just certain things I just need to bring out for these clips. All right? Just to understand what took place in the scriptures. All right? So she went out to Esau went out to the field to fetch venison, and the mother, while Esau was out in the field, the mother made meat and sent Jacob in and to give his father the meat and put on his garments that were of the field, the hairy garments, because Esau was hairy, as it said in the scripture. All right, he came out red and hairy. All right. Salakia. Let me go back to Genesis chapter 27 and verse 29, and it reads, "Let people serve thee." Salakia, verse 28. "Therefore, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai give thee the dew of the heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curse thee, and blessed be he that bless thee." All right? So that was actually the birthright that was supposed to be given, right? That was supposed to be given unto Esau. But once again, if you remember and if you read early in the story, Esau sold that birthright. For what? For the lentils. When he was out in the field with Jacob, he sold that birthright to him. So Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, made sure that he fulfilled that sale in retrospect. All right? Let me go on. Salakia. Let's go on to first it's Genesis and chapter 41. Salakia. Salakia. All right. So we're going to go, actually, it's going to be the book of, let's jump into the book of Exodus, all right? And once again, to know who the children of Israel are, let's read Exodus chapter 1, verse 1 through 4. And it reads, Now there are the names, Slakia, now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came unto Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. All right, so these are the 12 tribes of Judah. These are them. Okay, let's jump over to Exodus chapter 3 and verse chapter 3. Chapter 3, and let's go to verse 6. And to understand who are the blessed seeds, this is just one verse to understand and know why. All right? Because Yahweh Bashim Yahushai has said it. If you look at it through the Spirit, and it says, and in writing it says, this is Exodus chapter 3 and verse 6. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So he said he was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That is our forefathers. There is no Esau, Edom in there as a forefather, or who pertaineth the blessing to. The blessing came to the seeds of Jacob, through the seed of Abraham, who begot Isaac, and Isaac begot Jacob and Esau. But the blessing did not go unto Esau, Edom. What blessing went to Esau, Edom? Well, let's go ahead and go back for edification's sake. Salakia. So we have a clear understanding that Esau got his blessing, and his blessing was different from Jacob's blessing. Right? Salakia. Almost there. All right, so this will be Genesis chapter 27, and it'll be verse 34. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came in with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? All right, because Jacob means the surplanter. All right. Going on. Rightly named Jacob, for he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away birthright. He took away my birthright. He didn't take away his birthright. He sold it to him for potted meat, right? And behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not res- reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? Continuing to read, and Esau said unto him, Father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, the dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword shall thou live, and shall serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Continuing on, I'm going to read down to verse 42. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob her young son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doeth comfort himself, proposing to kill thee. All right. So what do you see now? You see Esau's killing Jake all the time. George Floyd, this last guy getting shot, Jacob, which we're entering into Jacob's trouble. All right. The other, so many, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, all these Jakes and are being shot and killed. All right. This is Esau, that perpetual hatred that Esau has for Jacob. All right. Because once again, who is the blessing given unto? Who was it given to? The blessing was given unto Jacob. And you know that because, let's go back to Exodus chapter 3, verse 6. Moreover, he said, I am the God, the power, which God means power, of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Slovakia. And that right there goes to show you, right there, who the blessing was given unto. And that's just one verse, okay? But who the blessing was given unto. So, I mean, I could go on and on about that just through the spirit. Let me get these clips that got me on this particular video, all right? Because I seen it and just roused my spirit up and made me kind of frustrated, all right? Let's go right quick. Let's go to Exodus. Go to chapter 33 and verse 1, and it reads, And Yahweh Bashem Yahushai said unto Moses, Depart and go up hence, thou and thy people, which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt, unto the land which I sworn unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob. saying, unto thy seed will I give it. All right? Saying, unto thy seed will I give it. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob once again. All right? So, let me go ahead and play these clips and get back to the lesson. All right? Lord willing, this video is edifying.
Jackson's apology, but I need to know more. So let me start by saying, anytime someone thinks they're quoting Adolf Hitler, and doing it as though he's saying something important and true, and it involves Jewish people being bad, that is a bad thing to do. That is a bad thing to do. That is a bad thing to do. That's not, yes, you will offend not just Jewish people, but any righteous person. Just like I sit here on this show and defend all kinds of marginalized groups all the time and try to be an ally for them and an advocate for them. Anyone who feels as I do, of any background, would feel the same way. Part of the quote, they will extort America. Their plan, meaning the Jews, for world domination won't work if the Negroes knew who they were. If the Negroes knew who they were. If the Negroes knew who they were. This is not about uplifting black people primarily. This is about, if you think about it, Deshaun, why black people are in a bad position. Jews are being scapegoated. First of all, there's no truth in it. Jews do not have a plan for world domination. I have no plan for world domination, and there is no secret cabal with some plan for world domination.
What you're about to hear is the most diabolical plot ever uncovered.
I want to know, do you have that book, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion? He sold out the protocols.
Yeah, it's a timeless book. It's always going to sell.
Sold out.
This is it. I finally can prove these Jews are really trying to take over the world.
The Protocols of Zion claims to be the minutes of a secret meeting of Jews who were plotting to take over the world.
Today the Jews rule this world by proxy.
I don't even know what blackmail or extort America means in this context. I don't think you do either, and I don't think anyone does. It's unintelligible. It doesn't make any sense. And it plays on the worst kind of anti-Semitic tropes and stereotypes through the years, especially scapegoating Jews for problems. So what it appears to me is that Deshaun Jackson is susceptible to low-quality information. And in the internet age, it's very dangerous to be that way. For those, especially people who disseminate these messages, are hoping that influencers, like maybe Deshaun Jackson, who are susceptible to low quality information, accept this information as true, this disinformation as true, and disseminate it and use their influence to get people to agree with it. So if Deshaun Jackson wants to educate people, then Deshaun, you should become educated. I've dealt with Deshaun Jackson, nice guy, I like him. But and I'd like to accept his apology, not just as a Jewish person, but as a person of social conscience. But I have to know more, Deshaun. When you say you're tweeting this not to offend anyone, but to uplift everyone, why does it say they? Why is the quote about white Jews in particular who have a plan for world domination? What is that about? You couldn't uplift African Americans without singling out Jews falsely for having some kind of conspiracy to Jews in particular to keep black people down or uninformed. In order that the Jews should dominate the world? Do you understand? And the fact that it was attributed to Hitler and you thought that it was, it turns out it wasn't Hitler, but you thought it was? So I'm glad, Deshaun, that you apologized. And I would like to accept it. But brother, I gotta know more. I gotta know much more. What you've explained so far doesn't cut it.
All right, as you see on that video, there's a lot on that particular video. All right, through the Spirit, I wanted to touch on these particular things. I just could not let this go. Lord willing, the video is edifying once again. I'm going to jump into the book of Micah, and this is going to be chapter 2, and it's verses 1 through 5. And it reads, "Woe to them that deceive, Slakia, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand." All right, so that's these wicked elite, these the 13 Bacon families, the Rothschilds, the DuPonts, the Gettys, so on and so forth. All right, the banking elite, the New World Order, the Illuminati, so-called. All right, continuing on, and they covet fields and take them by violence. All right, who takes what by violence? Who's the only nation who has been in war more than 80% of their existence? All right, Babylon. All right, America, which is spiritually Babylon, Sodom, Gomorrah, Egypt, all over again. All right, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house. So do they not oppress man in his house? What man in his house? Jacob, the 12 tribes, oppresses man in his house continuously. You know, you have the welfare system in general. Take the man out of the house so you can receive the funds, so she can be taken care of, so on and so forth. All right. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man in his heritage. All right, who's stolen the heritage? Edom steals everybody's heritage, but first and foremost, whose heritage did they steal first and foremost? The Israelites' heritage. All right, they couldn't accept that they gave up their birthright and were supplanted for the blessing. All right, which was already prophesied and spoken of by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right. Continuing on, therefore, once again, this is Micah chapter 3, chapter 2, verse 3. "Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Behold, again this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haltly, for this time is evil." All right, this time that we're living in under Esau, Edom's rule is evil. All right, continuing on to verse 4. "In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, and say, We be utterly spoiled." All right, who has spoiled us? Spoiled our whole nation, spoiled the women of our nation. All right, it's just totally decimated us. All right, as a people, as a nation. Okay, roughly paraphrasing the scriptures, so that our name would not be remembered as a nation, so we would not be remembered as a nation. Continuing on, "He hath changed the portion of my people." All right, of whose people? Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's people. He has changed a portion of us into lowly beggars, you know, to heathens. All right, and this came on to us. Why? Because we disobeyed the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, continuing on. How hath he removed it from me? Turning away, he hath divided our fields. Therefore thou shalt have none that shall cast a cord by lot in the congregation of Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai. All right? It is Salakia. 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 Salakia, Akim. But those are the exact reasons why. All right? This guy, Max, and I've watched First Take, you know, I'm not really a big sports guy or anything, but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know what verse comes to mind for me? It's going to be a book of Revelation. Slovakia. It'll be book of Revelation. It'll be chapter 2 and verse 9. And I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. All right? That's automatically what comes into mind. Matter of fact, hold on, Salakia.
Are an ancient community of the Israelite exiles. Now, this is, for the most part, the general consensus of the largest people in Africa. You do have different groups like the Abu Ghani in Uganda who aren't saying they're from the lost tribes but have joined the people of Israel in the large amounts of numbers. One other location I'd like to... Actually, before I go into this other location, what's fascinating is, which I speak about, is the transatlantic slave trade. A large percentage of it actually came from Igbo territory. So these Igbo today in Nigeria who are practicing Jews, numbering to 40 million people, with customs, traditions, doing circumcision on the 8th day, were the same exact people brought to the Americas on the transatlantic slave trade. Were the same exact people brought to the Americas on the transatlantic slave trade. Now, if someone goes to Times Square in New York today, you'll see, African Americans dressed in Israelite outfits and yelling at people saying, "You're not the real Jews, we're the real Jews." And so, a bunch of people saying, "Wait, you guys are cookies, you just made this whole thing up, you made up a religion and an identity." Actually, no, they are the blood descendants, most likely, of the people who, from Israel, were brought from Africa to America. So it's very fascinating. Actually, no, they are the blood descendants, most likely, of the people who, from Israel, were brought from Africa to America. So it's very fascinating. Actually, no, they are the blood descendants, most likely, of the people who, from Israel, were brought from Africa to America. So it's very fascinating. But what they need is a...
So, that clip right there is what that reminds me of. All right, to read it again. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Call log Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rakakadash. All right. I got a couple of more scriptures. Through the Spirit of just, oh goodness. Let's go to the book of Matthew right quick. Salakia for this is gonna be Matthew's book of Matthew. I believe it is book of Matthew. and chapter 15. And verse 23. And it reads, verse 24. Let's start at verse 23. But he answered her not a word, and his disciples came and besought him, and saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered and said, Who is he? Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. So Yahushai answered the woman and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Alright? So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai told you right there, he is only sent to who? To the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Who's the house of Israel? The 12 tribes. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's later on, his name being changed to Israel. And Lord willing, I'll do a lesson on that, where his name was changed. And you have edification, understand that account where it did happen. Okay? These are the things that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has set forth for his reasoning. Alright? We didn't choose him, he chose us. Roughly paraphrasing the scripture. Okay? We got two more scriptures. And let's go, I believe it is in Salakia. Let's go. Actually, I got a couple more. And the blessing for Jacob, the blessing of his nations and everything in the new covenant hasn't been fulfilled, alright? So these are the things that we are waiting on, okay? So we're going to go to the book of Jeremiah. This is going to be chapter 31. And let's start at verse 31. And it reads, Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break. Although I was a husband unto them, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, but this shall be a covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, I will put my laws in their inward parts and write it in their hearts being their mind, alright? And will be their God. That word God means power. And they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor. Who's my neighbor? My brothers. My brothers of the and sisters of the 12 tribes. Alright? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob came out of the loins of those forefathers. Alright? And every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, for they shall know, for they all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, for I will forgive their iniquity and will remember their sins no more. Alright? So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai said he will remember our sins no more, forgive our iniquity. He'll wipe the slate clean for Israel. Alright? And Abaratazah, that we're, you brothers and sisters listening, we're of the hopeful elect. We're of the elect of Israel. And not of the 2/3. Because the 2/3 will be back in Israel and the kingdom and receive of the blessings, but after the second death. All right, after the death by thermonuclear fire. All right, that the Bible does speak of the thermonuclear fire. All right, and it doesn't say it in those exact words, but it gives you all the parables and signs of what thermonuclear fire does. The sword, all right, the arrows from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, his weapons. And let's go to last scripture. Go to Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 13, and it reads, and that he saith, a new covenant he hath made, the first old. Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. All right, and that covenant will vanish away when we return as a nation back unto our power to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and obey the law, statutes, and commandments, and Yahweh Shai is sent back, that Yahweh sends Yahweh Shai back to deliver us in those chariots. All right, Lord willing, this video was edifying. Apologize for it being a little bit all over the place, but through the Spirit, the power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, the body was edified. I want to give all praises and honor to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai B'Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with all sincerity. To the Bayasha Double Dad House of David, Lord willing, be of that hopeful, be of that elect number, the hopeful elect. Keep going, fasting and praying, and be diligent, super diligent in these times, and just continue on through the faith. With that, once again, I want to give all honor and glory and praise unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Shalom.